The broken world and the human who stood alone. The sky was bleeding. Dark smoke rose from the shattered towers of Zalthar, the jewel city of the alien empire. The ground shook every few minutes as something massive moved below the surface. No one knew what it was anymore. They only knew one thing. The end had come. Millions had died. Their strongest warriors had fallen. Their energy weapons, their shields, their ancient machines, nothing had worked. The parasite creatures, called the Karthak, had spread like fire in dry leaves. They came without sound, without mercy, and left only silence behind. The alien council begged for help across the stars. Only one message came back. It was from Earth, and Earth sent just one man. His name was Daniel. No one knew why a single human had volunteered. Maybe he had nothing left to live for. Maybe he was crazy. Or maybe he was something else. When Daniel arrived, he wore no armor. He carried no big gun, just a small pack, some tools, and a strange old book. The aliens laughed at him in the beginning. But he didn't say anything. He just listened, looked around, and walked straight into the burning ruins alone. He didn't come back for 3 days. When he did, the parasites were dead. A black crater marked the center of their hive, and twisted remains of their queen lay broken across the rocks. Some said they saw him glowing. Others said he was speaking in a voice that wasn't his. No one could prove it. No one dared to ask. Daniel collapsed after the fight. He was unconscious for 6 weeks. They kept him in the Royal Med Hall, watched by guards and machines. During that time, the Empress held a secret meeting. No soldier, no weapon, no scientist had done what this human had done. They needed to reward him. But how do you reward someone who has no rank in your empire? The Empress decided to give him a living gift. Not gold, not land, but something far more rare. When Daniel finally woke up, he was confused. His body felt different, like it wasn't his. He had dreams that didn't feel like dreams. A burning world. A voice calling him guardian, and a feeling that something deep inside him had opened. His first real moment came when the door to his room opened without sound. A girl stepped in. She looked strange, not like the others. Her skin was pale silver, like moonlight on water. Her hair flowed behind her, not touching her back. Her eyes were large and glowing faint blue without pupils. She walked like she didn't feel the ground. Daniel sat up. She looked at him with curiosity, not fear, not respect either. Just curiosity. "They told me to serve you," she said softly. Her voice was calm, almost like music. "I am your reward." Daniel blinked. "My what?" "Your reward," she repeated. "For saving Zalthar, they chose me to be yours." He frowned. "I don't need a reward." "But I was made for this," she said. "Made?" She tilted her head. "They call me Karel. I was activated when you destroyed the hive." He stood up slowly. "You're not one of them, are you?" "No," she said. "Then what are you?" She smiled, and for a second the lights in the room flickered. "I don't know yet," she said. "But I think I'm meant to find out with you." Daniel felt cold. The girl, Carol, was too calm, too perfect. And there was something in her eyes that wasn't just curiosity. He remembered the crater, the voice, the feeling of something else inside him. "I'm just a soldier," he said. Carell stepped closer. "No," she whispered. "You're something much more." And they're all afraid to say it. Afraid of what? Afraid of what's waking up inside you. She wasn't what they told him. The room felt colder ever since Carol arrived. Daniel couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw fire or stars. Sometimes both. And always he saw her. Not Carel as she was now, but a version of her covered in light, floating above a battlefield, her face calm while everything around her burned. He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at her. She didn't move. She just stood by the window, hands behind her back, eyes glowing slightly as she looked up at the dark sky. "Do you ever sleep?" Daniel asked. "No," she said, not turning around. "Do you ever eat?" "No." "So, are you even alive?" She turned to him, her expression unreadable. "Define alive." He sighed and rubbed his face. "They said you were a gift, a reward, but you feel more like a mystery that everyone is afraid to explain." Karel walked over to him slowly. "They gave me to you because they don't understand me, and because you are the only one who might." "Why me?" he asked. "Because you touch the core of the parasite hive. No one else has ever survived that. And when you did, you changed something." "I didn't change anything," Daniel said, his voice sharp. "I destroyed it, that's all." Karel looked at him closely. "Do you remember what you said when you came back?" He shook his head. "You said the old gate has opened, the sleeper has stirred." Daniel stared at her. "I never said that." "You did," she replied. "And it was in a language no one on this world speaks except me." A long silence followed. Daniel felt like the walls were listening, like the air itself was waiting for his answer. He stood up and moved to the door. "I need some air." Carol didn't stop him. But as he opened the door, she whispered, "You're not who you think you are." Outside, the city was quiet. Too quiet. Once, the jewel of the alien empire. Now Zalthar was a ghost city. Buildings were half destroyed, roads cracked open like old bones. Strange machines floated in the sky, repairing things that couldn't be fixed. As Daniel walked through the empty streets, alien eyes followed him from windows. Whispers echoed behind him. Soft, scared, broken whispers. "That's the one, the human ghost." He walked into death and came back. Daniel ignored them. He didn't care about rumors. He didn't even care about being called a hero. All he wanted was the truth. At the center of the city was the archive, a great black tower shaped like a spear stabbed into the earth. The Empress had told him he could access any part of it. So he did. Inside, the walls shimmered with floating data. Alien symbols danced through the air, but as Daniel stepped in, something strange happened. The symbols began to shift, to change, into English. "What the hell?" he whispered. A hidden door opened behind him. No sound, no warning. He turned around slowly. Karel stood there. "You shouldn't be here," she said. "And you shouldn't be following me," he replied. "I'm not following," she said. "I'm guiding." She led him through the secret hallway, down into the deep tunnels under the archive. Cold lights flickered as they walked. Daniel felt his heart beat faster with each step. "Where are we going?" he asked. "To your beginning," she said. They reached a massive chamber. The walls were covered with ancient symbols, carved in stone older than the city itself. In the center was a glowing circle on the floor. Karel stepped back and motioned for him to enter. "Stand there," she said. "Why?" "Because it will answer your question." Daniel hesitated, then stepped into the circle. The floor lit up. Images appeared around him, stars, planets, wars, and then a human face. His face. But it wasn't him. It was someone like him, standing before thousands of aliens, giving orders in a deep voice that echoed with power. "What is this?" Daniel whispered. Karel's voice was soft behind him. "This is the truth they buried. Humans were never just humans. Not all of them." The image changed. It showed a map of the galaxy, and in the center was Earth, marked with a red circle. "They feared your kind," she continued. "But they needed you to fight their war. So they erased the history, and when you came, they realized you were one of the old ones. A sleeper." "Stop," Daniel said, shaking his head. "I'm not special, I'm just a soldier." "Then why do machines respond to your touch?" she asked. "Why do doors open for you that haven't opened in 10,000 years? Daniel backed away. His breath was fast, his hands trembled. "I don't want this." But it wants you, she said. The chamber lights went dark. A voice echoed through the stone. Deep, ancient, and not from any living being. He returns. The gate is open. The key has chosen. Daniel fell to his knees. Carell walked to him and knelt beside him. I wasn't made to serve you, she said softly. I was made to protect you. And now, they know you're awake. The reward becomes a weapon. The city trembled as the alarm screamed. It began with a single light blinking red at the edge of the sky. Then 3 more, then 7. Strange objects moved just beyond the upper orbit of Zalthar. No signals. No response, no patterns. They hovered there watching, and then they fell. Massive machines, dark, winged, and pulsing with energy, slammed into the surface like hammers of the gods. Shields failed before they touched the ground. Buildings collapsed in seconds. Entire sectors were swallowed in fire. Inside the palace, Daniel ran through the corridors with Carol by his side. What are they? He shouted. They're not from here, she replied, her voice calm but cold. They're not even from this layer of space. Void mothers? He guessed. Carell didn't answer. They burst into the command chamber where alien generals shouted over each other. Screens flashed red warnings. One general pointed at Daniel. He brought this. They followed him. Daniel stepped forward. I didn't bring anything, but if we don't stop them, you won't have a city left to blame me in. Before anyone could speak again, the wall exploded. Black smoke poured in. Out of the smoke came something horrible. A hunter-class void construct. It moved like metal. Bones wrapped in shadow with dozens of red eyes blinking at once. Weapons powered up from its chest. The guards froze, but Carell stepped forward. She raised her hand. Her skin glowed. Her voice changed. Deeper, filled with layered echoes. You are not welcome here, she said. The construct fired, Daniel shouted, but the blast never reached her. Time bent. The air around Carell shimmered like a shield of light. The blast turned, folding into itself, vanishing like smoke in the wind. She moved her fingers. The machine screamed, not with sound, but with raw, shaking frequency. It dropped to its knees, its red eyes bursting in sparks. Then it collapsed into a pile of melted metal and ash. No one spoke. They just stared at her. Daniel's heart was beating too fast. Not from fear. From realization. What? What was that? He asked. Carol turned to him slowly. They gave me to you because you're the only one who can unlock me. And now, I'm awake. The generals backed away. The Empress's voice came from the central comm. Bring the girl to me. Now. Daniel stepped in front of Carol. She's not going anywhere. You do not understand what she is, the Empress said. She is not a gift. She is a weapon, a living relic. We gave her to you so she would stay out of our hands. You were supposed to keep her silent. Carol looked at Daniel. I was never meant to be silent, and neither were you. What are you saying? He asked. I need to show you something. Come with me. They escaped the palace through an old tunnel used in ancient wars. It led far below the city, into places that had not been touched in centuries. The path was lined with symbols Daniel felt drawn to, like they whispered to him without sound. Deep underground, they entered a forgotten temple. At the center was a tall, glowing wall, metal and stone, mixed together like melted stars. Daniel stepped forward. The wall reacted. Symbols lit up. A voice, soft and familiar, spoke from within. Welcome, Architect Seed. Daniel froze. What did it call me? Architect Seed, Carol said. You're not just human. You are a descendant of the ones who built the first gates, the first ships, the first mines. The wall showed visions, a time before history, when beings who looked almost human spread across galaxies, building wonders beyond imagination. But they vanished, Daniel whispered. No, Carell replied. They went silent, and they left behind sleepers. You are one of them. The wall pulsed. You have been activated, and so has the war. Daniel touched the surface. A wave of power hit him. His eyes turned silver for a moment. Memories that weren't his flooded in. Battles in the stars, fire raining down, a girl who looked like Carol reaching out to him across lifetimes. He fell back, gasping. Carell caught him. "They will come for you now," she said, "and they will try to use me to control you." "Why me?" he asked again. "Why not someone else?" "Because you were born with the signal," she whispered. "You're the only one who can wake the machines, the only one who can control the network, and the only one who can finish what the architects started." Outside, explosions echoed. The void constructs were spreading. Carell stood and opened her hand. A weapon appeared, not built, but grown, glowing with living circuits and humming softly. She handed it to him. "You don't have to fight alone," she said. Daniel took the weapon. It felt right, like it was always waiting for him. He looked at Carol. "What are you now?" She smiled. "I'm not a gift anymore. I'm your shield, your sword, your memory." The lights flickered. Outside the chamber, shadows moved. Creatures that didn't belong to this universe crept toward them. Daniel turned toward the sound, weapon in hand, and for the first time, he didn't feel like just a soldier. He felt like something more. The truth behind the gift, the air inside the temple was thick, not with dust, but with memory. As Daniel and Carol stood near the glowing wall, the hum of power echoed through the chamber like a pulse. The symbols on the walls whispered, not in sound but in feeling. Every beat of light felt like a thought being shared directly into the mind. "We need to move," Carell said softly. Daniel looked at her. "Not yet. This place, it's doing something to me. It's remembering you," she replied, "and you're remembering it." His fingers brushed the ancient surface again. He saw flashes of other lives, a hand reaching through a gate of white light, fire falling on a distant planet, a soft voice whispering, "You will return when the stars forget your name." He stepped back. "What am I becoming?" Carol looked down. Her glowing eyes flickered. "You're becoming what you were always meant to be," she said. "And that scares them." "Who? The void creatures?" "No," she said. "The Empire, the Empress. They fear you more than the void." Daniel stared at her. "But they gave you to me. They trusted me." "No, Daniel. They wanted to contain you." In the throne chamber of Zalthar, the Empress stood before a silent group of masked elders. Her face was calm, but her voice was sharp. "He has awakened the temple," she said, "and the weapon walks beside him. If we wait any longer, we lose control." "He saved our world," one elder replied. "He changed it," the Empress snapped, "and change is dangerous. He has the mark of the architects. He speaks to their machines. He sees the forgotten paths. We must act. He is not one of us." "Exactly," she said, "and neither is the girl. They are not a reward. They are a threat." She gave the order. "Bring him back alive. Bring her back broken." Daniel and Carol reached the outer edge of the temple tunnels. Far above, the city shook as black ships tore through the skies. Fire rained in silent streaks. "We can't stay here," Carol said. "They know where we are." "Then let's run." She shook her head. "No, not this time. We go to the deep archive." Daniel frowned. "What's that?" "The place where the architects stored their final memory. It's not just a library. It's a gate. One that can show you who you truly are." "Then take me." They traveled through forgotten tunnels, deeper than even the Royal Palace records showed. Time felt strange. Sometimes Daniel wasn't sure if hours passed, or days. At last, they entered the deep archive. It was a circular chamber, filled with floating crystals that shimmered like frozen rain. In the center stood a platform with a single chair carved from the same material as the temple walls. "Sit," Carol said. "What happens now?" "You meet yourself." Daniel sat. Light surrounded him. His body fell still. But his mind was pulled somewhere else. He stood in an endless hall of mirrors. Each mirror showed a different version of himself. Some in armor, some with crowns, some burned and broken, others glowing with strange energy. In one, he saw himself, fighting side by side with Carol in a war that hadn't happened yet. A voice echoed around him. "You are not a mistake, you are a design. You were placed, hidden, and forgotten. But you are not lost. They will try to control you. They will try to use the girl. But only your choice can decide the future. The key is not just her. It is the bond between you." The mirrors shattered. Daniel gasped and woke up. Carell stood nearby, waiting. "What did you see?" she asked. "I saw the truth," he said. "And now, I know what they're afraid of." "Tell me." "They're afraid I'll stop following their rules. And they're afraid of you. Because you were never meant to be a gift." Carell walked forward, her expression changing. Softer, almost sad. "I was created by them, Daniel. Not born, not raised. I was made from the memories of an old queen, mixed with machine code and ancient signals. I was supposed to be a lock, for you, a way to keep you under control. But you didn't do that," he said. "No," she whispered. "Because the first time you spoke to me, something changed. I felt something real." Daniel reached for her hand. "You were never just a tool," he said. "Not to me." Their hands touched. In that moment, the archive lit up, but not from machines, from the energy flowing between them. Outside, the guards arrived, dozens of armored warriors with weapons glowing. They surrounded the entrance. The Empress appeared in the sky through a floating projection. "Daniel of Earth," she said coldly. "You have gone too far. You have entered places forbidden. You have awakened power you cannot control. Surrender yourself and the girl, and we will not destroy you." Daniel looked at Carell. "Do we run?" "No," she said, stepping beside him. "We stand." He turned to the Empress's image. "You called me a weapon," he said. "Then you should have known what happens when you threaten the one I care about." His eyes glowed. So did hers. The deep archive trembled. The floating crystals spun faster, creating a storm of light. Machines in the city stopped responding to the Empire. Energy shields collapsed. The ancient systems had chosen their master. Daniel raised his hand. The weapons of the guards turned and pointed at their own. The Empress screamed, "Shut it down, now!" But it was too late. The Empire had lost control, and Daniel had just taken his first step into becoming something greater than they ever imagined. She chooses him. And something awakens. The city had fallen silent. Not because the war was over, but because the machines no longer listened to their masters. Across Zalthar, doors refused to open. Weapons powered down and defense systems locked themselves in a dormant loop. They waited for a new command. Not from the Empress, not from the Council. They waited for Daniel. In the deep archive, Daniel stood with Carol, their hands still glowing with the power that had awakened something older than the Empire itself. The air pulsed with a strange hum, like a heartbeat, coming from the stones. "You changed everything," Carol whispered. "No," Daniel said, looking at her. "We did." The projection of the Empress blinked out. The guards had fled. But Daniel knew it wouldn't end there. "They'll come back," he said. "They'll bring more." "Yes," Carell replied. "But something else is coming first." "What do you mean?" She walked toward the center of the archive. Her steps echoed like soft thunder. The crystals floating above began to spin faster. "When you awakened me," she said, "you didn't just unlock my purpose. You triggered a signal. It reached across the galaxy. It woke up an ancient system built by the architects." "And something answered." Daniel's heart skipped. "Something answered?" Carol nodded. The Void Mothers heard it. The name sent a chill down his spine. He had heard the whispers from alien scholars, from broken prisoners, and from survivors of other worlds. The Void Mothers weren't just enemies. They were Origin-level threats. entities older than stars, who fed on memory, light, and time itself. How long until they arrive? They're already moving, she said. And when they get here, they won't send soldiers. They'll send erasers. What's an eraser? You don't want to meet one. They returned to the surface. Xalthar looked different. The once bright towers now stood like skeletons. The sky had darkened. Clouds twisted unnaturally, pulled by something that wasn't wind. As they walked through the quiet streets, Daniel noticed people watching them, not with fear anymore, but with something else. Hope. Children followed them from a distance. Aliens lowered their weapons, some even knelt. Why are they doing that? He asked. Because you freed them, Karel said. Not just from the parasites, not just from the Empire, but from a lie they've lived under for thousands of years. Daniel stopped. I didn't mean to start a revolution. You didn't, she said. You became one. They reached a hidden chamber beneath the oldest part of the city. There, buried under rock and forgotten by time, was a machine unlike any other. Throne, not made of metal, but of glowing crystal and light. It floated above the floor, surrounded by symbols from every known alien language, and many unknown ones. What is this? Daniel asked. The source, Karel said. The network core. It connects to the ancient defense systems left behind by the architects. If you sit there, you'll be able to speak to them, to control them. And if I don't, the Void Mothers will tear this world apart. He looked at her. And if I lose myself in it? She hesitated. Then I'll bring you back, she said. Even if I have to burn the stars. Daniel smiled softly. You were made to protect me. But now, I think you chose me. Karel stepped closer. I did. And not because they told me, but because when you touched the hive, you didn't become a monster. You became you. You chose kindness. You chose me. He touched her face gently. Then let's finish what they started. Daniel sat in the throne. Instantly, the light consumed him. His mind stretched across the stars. He saw gates between galaxies, weapons floating in dead space, fleets sleeping in hidden moons. All of it waiting. For a voice. For his voice. He didn't speak with words. He commanded with thought. Systems activated. Dormant ships woke up. Defense rings around dying stars began to spin again. But then, something noticed him. A darkness touched the edge of his vision. Not a shape, not a sound, a presence. It whispered not with words, but with silence, and that silence said, "We see you." Daniel screamed. Karel ran to him, grabbing his hand, forcing energy through the throne to pull him back. Her body shook, her code fractured, lines of light cracked across her skin. "Daniel," she shouted, "come back." The throne resisted. Something ancient held him inside. Something that wanted to erase him before he could wake more. Carol's eyes turned white. She leaned close. "You brought me to life," she said, voice cracking. "Now let me give you mine." She poured all her energy into the throne. Daniel gasped, then opened his eyes. But Carol collapsed. Her body flickered. Not like a machine shutting down, but like a star, fading. "No," Daniel whispered, catching her. "You're alive," she said weakly. "That's what matters. You don't get to disappear," he said. "Not after everything." He reached into the throne, not with power, but with emotion, love, grief, purpose. The throne responded. Energy flowed back into Karel. She screamed as light wrapped around her like wings, lifting her into the air. Her form shifted. No longer just a machine, no longer just a creation. She became something new, not built, born. When the light faded, she opened her eyes. What am I now?" she asked. Daniel smiled. You're real. She touched his hand. And you're ready. For what? She pointed to the sky. They're here. Daniel looked up. The clouds had parted. A massive shadow covered the stars. And from it, something began to fall. Something that didn't belong in any world. The world that tried to use him. Regrets everything. They came from the dark between stars. Not ships. Not soldiers. Shapes. Massive. Slow-moving. Twisting in impossible ways. Like shadows caught in time. Each one had no face, no form, only hunger. The sky broke when they arrived. Animals fled into the oceans. Plants began to die. Even machines went silent, afraid. The Void Mothers had come, and they were looking for him. Daniel stood on the city wall, looking up. Beside him, Carol held his hand. Her skin was no longer silver. Now it shimmered with living light. Her new form made the air around her feel warmer, safer. But not even that could hide the dread in her voice. They are beyond what the architects imagined, she said. They eat memory, they erase worlds, and now they know you exist. Then let them come, Daniel replied. She looked at him. We can still run. He shook his head. I ran before. This time, I stand. Inside the Empire Palace, chaos spread. The Empress shouted orders no one obeyed. The machines had chosen Daniel. The walls no longer listened. The weapons had turned cold. And the soldiers, those who once worshipped her, now whispered a new name. The Seed, the Chosen, the Human. Her advisors begged her to surrender. Let him lead, they said. He has awakened the old defenses. He commands the throne of light. But she refused. He is a weapon, she snapped. And I do not kneel to weapons. She reached into her robe and pulled out a black crystal. Forbidden tech, buried after the last great war. It pulsed with dark energy. If we can't control him, she said, we destroy him. Daniel stood at the gate of the city, his back straight, his eyes glowing. Behind him, alien citizens watched in silence. Some prayed, some cried. All waited. Carell raised her arm. A dome of light shimmered across the sky. A defense shield powered by the old machines Daniel had reawakened. But it wouldn't hold forever, not against them. In the distance, the first void creature touched the shield. It didn't roar. It didn't speak. It just pushed, and the shield cracked. We need more power. Carol whispered. Daniel nodded. Then we give them everything. He stepped forward, closed his eyes and let go. Energy burst from his chest, calling every ancient system across the galaxy. Forgotten satellites, deep-core reactors, star-forged cannons, all of them answered. Light shot from the ground into the sky, forming weapons made of thought and code. One by one, the void creatures were struck. But they didn't die. They adapted. They changed. What was once one form became three. What was once a shadow became a storm. Carol gasped. They're learning from us. Good, Daniel said. Let them learn fear. But just as they prepared to strike again, a blade touched Daniel's back. He froze. A whisper followed. I'm sorry. He turned his head. It was General Theron, the only alien who had ever fought beside him during the Parasite War. A friend. Why? Daniel asked. She gave me no choice, Theron said. The Empress activated the override. It's buried in your blood. I had to use it. Daniel fell to his knees. His body stopped glowing. The throne connection, severed. Carell screamed. Daniel collapsed. The defense shield dropped, and the void creatures surged forward. Carell caught Daniel before he hit the ground. His eyes were open, but empty. Not dead, but disconnected. The machines no longer heard him. You broke him, she said, her voice shaking. Theron dropped the blade, guilt covering his face. I didn't know it would be like this. You betrayed him, she said. He's just one man. Carol stood, no longer calm, no longer silent. She rose, into the air, light pouring from her body. He was never just one man, she said. He was hope. He was the reason your world still exists. The ground shook as her energy formed wings of fire behind her. You used him, you feared him. Now you'll regret both. She raised her arms. The skies opened. Machines that had once followed Daniel now turned to her. Not because of code, not because of design, but because of choice. They chose her. She sent a signal, not to fight the void, but to pull something ancient. Beneath the city, under the layers of rock and memory, something massive stirred. The ground split, and from it rose a titan, a being shaped like a human but made of starlight and stone, powered by old energy and bound to the throne's line. Its face looked just like Daniel, and in its chest, a hollow space. Karel whispered, "Hold on, Daniel." She lifted him into the air and placed his body into the Titan's core. The Titan opened its eyes and spoke with Daniel's voice. "I'm still here." The void creatures charged. But this time, they met something that didn't fear the dark. Daniel, fused with the Titan, punched the first creature. Space around it shattered. The creature screamed, not with pain, but confusion. It wasn't used to being touched. Karel flew beside him, blades of light spinning from her hands. Together they fought, man and machine, woman and fire, soul and weapon. For the first time, the Void Mothers took a step back. Deep in the Empire Palace, the Empress watched it all, and for the first time in her long rule, she felt fear. "We tried to use him," she said, "but now, he's becoming something we can never control." Behind her, a child servant whispered, "Maybe that's not a bad thing." The Empress turned furious. But outside, the Titan of Daniel raised its fist again and the sky itself bent. What they gave him became what saved them all. The Titan walked across the burning sky. Each step shook the land. Each movement cracked the clouds. Daniel was inside it, heart still beating, memories flowing like stars through ancient veins of light. He wasn't just human anymore. He wasn't just the seed of the architects. He was their echo, their voice, their answer. And beside him, Karel flew like a flame reborn, no longer a reward, no longer a tool, but something greater. The void creatures came in waves, stretching across the skies like storms made of nightmares. They twisted and broke everything they touched. Cities vanished, oceans boiled. But this time, they met resistance. True resistance. Daniel raised the Titan's hand. Energy formed in his palm. Not a weapon, but a memory. He thought of Earth. He thought of loss. He thought of Carol's smile, and from that a beam of light erupted, not to destroy, but to remember. When the light touched the void, it didn't explode. It unwrote. The creatures screamed. Their forms cracked, because memory was the one thing they couldn't feed on, and Daniel gave them too much. In the heart of the Empire, the Empress watched the sky burn gold. Her advisors had fled. Her guards had vanished. She stood alone. "I gave him a gift," she whispered, "and it became a god." But even in that moment, she could not understand. He never wanted to be worshipped. He only wanted to protect. And she had tried to break him. Above the city, Karel sensed a shift in the void creatures. They were regrouping, changing. "They're going to try again," she told him. "They've seen our strength. Now they'll try to use our hearts against us." Daniel nodded inside the Titan. "Then we give them something they can't erase." The Titan's chest opened. Karel flew inside, joining him, not as data, not as a command, but as equal soul. Their memories merged, her pain, his sorrow, their bond. The machines felt it, the old systems accepted it. The throne awakened one final time. Far across the galaxy, every hidden architect weapon, every moon core, every Stargate guardian, every machine buried beneath forgotten dust, activated. And then they all spoke, not in voice, but in unity. We are the ones you left behind. We are not forgotten, we are not broken, we choose life. The Void Mothers heard it. They sent their strongest form, a being shaped like silence itself. It descended like a falling moon, massive, black, endless. But Daniel and Carol were ready. The final battle wasn't one of fire or weapons. It was one of will. The Void tried to erase Daniel's identity, strip his thoughts, silence his soul. But Carol held on. Remember who you are, she whispered inside the light. You are not their weapon. You are not the Empire's tool. You are not just human. Then what am I? Daniel asked, his voice trembling. She took his hand. You're the one I chose. And with those words, they released everything. Light, grief, hope, love. The Titan exploded in a wave of golden memory that washed across space. The Void creature tried to resist, but it began to break apart, piece by piece, until there was nothing left. Only peace. The sky cleared. The city stood in silence, and slowly, stars returned to their place. Alien ships powered down. The wind returned. People stepped out of shelters, and for the first time in forever, there was no fear, no screams, no pain, only quiet, and a name whispered by every voice. Daniel. But Daniel and Carol were gone. No one knew where the light took them. Some said they became stars. Others said they returned to Earth. And a few believed they would return when needed again. When the stars forget their stories, and the darkness tries once more to rise, in the center of Zalthar, where the throne once stood, a single tree grew from the metal ground. Its leaves shimmered like starlight, and underneath it, a small plaque read, "They gave him a reward. She became his reason. Together, they became what saved us all."